What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below, the best gaming related show here on YouTube, and I'm excited to get into this thing, everyone. We have a number of topics to go over here today, that including a game that has been quite polarizing and something that a lot of people have been talking about very regularly since its release, that being Death Stranding. We'll also be talking about Legends of Runeterra, as I've been able to get some access to the game, play a little bit of it, and also just being able to watch a lot of people playing the game, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on the game at this very point. And then also, guys, we're going to be talking about YouTube versus Twitch versus Mixer, as the streaming wars are completely in full gear at this point. So we'll be talking about that as well, followed by some topics relating to GTA 6. A little bit of some new information has come out about Grand Theft Auto 6 and the possibility of a release date window, followed by, of course, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And we're going to be talking about, is Star Wars back at this very point in time, as we've had some very hilly, or I guess you could say up and downs with the Star Wars franchise in regards to the games, and obviously coming off of Battlefront 2 to now. We'll kind of talk about that. Is Star Wars back? And then, guys, of course, we'll also be talking about a potential sequel to Death Stranding. So we've primarily, guys, this show, I want to focus a lot of time on Death Stranding, because this is a game that's very polarizing. It's been kind of going multiple different directions as far as, people either love it or they hate it. There are some people in between, but it's mainly, one of those extremes on a tipping scale. So we're definitely going to be talking about that. And that's where we're going to be starting here today as far as the 8 Below Show is concerned. So welcome everyone, let's get into it. So Death Stranding, everyone, a polarizing game that has absolutely been splitting up the gaming communities at large and giving, us a completely different almost genre, so to speak, in gaming as a whole. I'll give you guys all of my feedback and what I believe and what I think about Death Stranding as a whole, but we're also going to be talking about some of that public reception and kind of see if is it really just or not, or is Death Stranding really a walking masterpiece as a whole? Because a lot of people have been talking about this game being a walking simulator. Well, could it be a walking masterpiece? So let's talk about it. We're going to be going through an article here that was written by Blake Guthrie from Epilogue Gaming, the title of it being The Polarizing Reception to Death Stranding. And if we start here, everyone, it says, Death Stranding has invoked some of the most exciting discourse that the gaming community has to offer this year, with some lifelong Kojima fans prematurely lauding the game as a masterpiece, and industry skeptics who reduce the experience to a delivery man simulator that lacks compelling and, more importantly, fun gameplay. And in terms of mystery storytelling, inventiveness, not to mention a naked Norman Reedus, this game has enshrouded itself with an unforgettable intrigue and interpretation since it was announced in 2016. The kind of mystery that drives people toward polar extremes in terms of their expectations about the game. Considering the polarizing reception to Death Stranding, with many describing the game as a masterpiece while others denigrate the game as Fetch Quest the game, many are unsure as to how the title meets player expectations after 3 ambiguous years of building hype. Regardless, the reputation of enigmatic auteur Hideo Kojima solidifies Death Stranding as an easy contender for not only a game of the year for 2019, but a game that redefines this console generation and even paves the way for a new social strand genre. So right off the bat, I guess I gotta say, the reason why after I had read this article, because I've been reading a lot of articles about Death Stranding, I really like this one because it kind of hits on a number of different things that I felt about the game. This has been, just so you guys are all aware, Death Stranding has been, without a doubt, the one game that this, as well as The Last of Us 2, really those two games, are games that had been announced from, a while back, right? So 2016 for Death Stranding, that became my most anticipated games, my most excited games that I could not wait to get my hands on. And now that it's out and the whole world is able to play it, it's very interesting. And you know that you've got something special when you have a game that's so polarizing, something that people don't really know what they think of it, but it's just a game I believe that's going to be talked about for years to come. And who knows where this story and all of that could go, as far as, are they going to do DLC? Are they going to be, creating more Death Stranding games? That's something that we'll have to be talking about as well later on in the show. But to continue here, I just thought that this article was really good. We're not going to read the entire article. We'll kind of go through bits and pieces of it. But until last summer, I had never played a Hideo Kojima game. My friend invited me to his place to stream a forbidden game that I could never access on my own, called PT. It was fabled by both friends and the internet to be the scariest game of all time, but I didn't know it yet. At the time, even the name Metal Gear Solid didn't ring a bell. And yet here we are. I have pre-ordered the collector's edition of Death Stranding and almost obsessively follow Hideo Kojima's every tweet, hoping to understand more about this game. So I kind of felt the same way. I really hadn't played very many of Kojima's games. I had watched, obviously, the playable teaser, or PT, that was supposed to be the Silent Hills game that obviously got canceled. But I had watched it, and I thought that was absolutely, it was incredible how they kind of constructed that. And then you see that Norman Reedus at the very end of it, spoiler alert, was like the main character, the character that you were playing as in the PT. And then, of course, you've got obviously Metal Gear Solid, which of course I'd watched gameplay of. I've played a little bit, not much, really didn't dive into it. It was really, Kojima I always just heard that he was like a masterful creator as far as in the gaming industry. And so I thought that, when Death Stranding was announced, and I watched some of the trailers, was really what got me into it, was seeing the trailers for the first time, the music, the soundtrack, everything about it was just very intriguing, and everyone's trying to break down every little thing about the game. And now that we've got the game, now we've got a little bit more of some answers, or do we? So, obviously, guys, the different trailers that came out, he talks about a number of pretty much all the trailers that came out. But what I would like to focus on is more so what we've got at this point. So from what gameplay has been shown and from what reviewers have said, Death Stranding is often accused of being a walking simulator. That moniker scares off some players, but I am perfectly happy to play a walking simulator as a delivery man, even though that kind of gameplay isn't reflected by the aforementioned trailers. As I watch the gameplay unfold, from the kind of balance Sam has to maintain as he traverses the game's world, to the emotional management of the BB, everything about the gameplay itself strikes me as mundane and tedious. Yet there is something meditative and zen-like about what Death Stranding asks you to do as you focus on what Kojima refers to as building a social strand system in the game. Looking back on what I consider to be remarkable games from this generation, the traversal mechanics of Death Stranding mirror admirable aspects of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I have argued is a perfect game and certainly a contender for the best game that 2017 offered. I agree with that. I agree that The Legend of Zelda certainly was, pretty much probably the best game that 2017 had that came out. And Death Stranding, I feel like it's got things about The Legend of Zelda, but you want to know something? I really feel that something that would be really cool about Death Stranding, and this would be a conversation almost for another day, but what if they created their own servers? You could be able to create your own server similar to Minecraft. I feel like this is a world building type of game. I don't know if they're planning on doing anything along those lines, kind of where you can kind of, basically build social strands in your own servers and such. I think that would be really cool. So it kind of reminds me of, what a game kind of like Minecraft. Feels like Minecraft, Legend of Zelda. You probably could mix in a number of other games in there, but it's got Kojima's handprint all over it. Okay, in terms of the multiplayer that Death Stranding features, I am reminded of games like Dark Souls and how player tips can be both helpful and treacherous. But from what I've read in Kojima interviews, the whole effort to include multiplayer in an otherwise purely single-player experience is to generate positive connection. I can't say that I feel positive connection and gratitude towards other players often in online games, yet Death Stranding promises to deliver that kind of connection. I look forward to seeing how I passively interact with people I'll never meet. So with an arsenal of completely unique trailers and immersive game demos in mind, the other part of my faith for Death Stranding stems from the absolute madness that I experienced when playing PT for the first time last summer. So kind of goes on to talk a little bit about PT, or playable teaser, which obviously was kind of, pretty much the first step in the direction of what we have now as Death Stranding. And I gotta say, guys, this is something that really does, I don't know, it certainly seems to be one of those ordeals where we have a game that is so different from everything else that we've really played. I mean, you have to kind of balance your character, or Norma Reedus, Sam Porter Bridges. You have to, really traverse the world, to build social strands, to bring together a broken country, essentially, a broken world almost. That's what makes me so excited about with this game, but also about the future of what this game could hold. Are they going to, I don't know. I mean, is there going to be, because a lot of people were talking about how they felt that this game, since with all those trailers that came out, a lot of them you could put side by side, and things happen in those trailers that would affect other things that would be happening in the other trailers. And it was very interesting with that. You wonder, is there some sort of like different dimensions and all of those different things within this universe? And I really think they could explore so much on that. I think we're only kind of touching the surface as far as Death Stranding is concerned, even if you're able to, even after you complete the game. This article was made, guys, before the game came out. I will say this, that obviously the game has been out now for a little while, but I think that a lot of what he's saying in this is certainly true as it relates to now. But what I will say is this, is for a AAA game, for a game in which Sony took a chance on with Kojima and really decided to go ahead and allow this type of game to be made, they must have known that this was going to be a game in which was going to be almost like a niche genre, but it was going to really sway people one way or another, which obviously creates tons of publicity for them, which is probably a good thing, obviously. But at the same time, it's interesting that they allowed a game like this to be made when they knew that fans, or just people in general who were just casual gamers, we're going to be almost swayed one way or another based upon reviews and such as to whether they want to purchase the game, just rent the game, whatever the case might be. Because it seems like a lot of people that I've noticed truly are just don't like the game because you have to walk a lot. Or you have to just deliver packages and such. And people, and then, obviously as you get like into the game, you notice that it gets better and better as it goes. It's just kind of they're laying the groundwork. It's a long game. I mean, what is it? Like around 60 hours or so, I believe. And so it's very, they really want to build, the character arcs, but they also just want to build on what they started and kind of have like a really solid finish to it. But anyways, the big question here, guys, is Death Stranding the most polarizing game ever of all time? Could it be? I think that there's a chance that it could be. Now, there's other polarizing games. I know there's, games in which, like, the Grand Theft Auto games have obviously really have been put into media, and a lot of, people say, like, these should not be younger kids should not be playing these games, and it just creates so much conversation, right, around, like, violence in video games. GTA was kind of one of those first games that really started that whole trend, and so this is a game, to me, it's almost creating a new genre. So you had like Battle Royale that came out, obviously, which H1Z1 kind of was continued with PUBG, Fortnite, Blackout, all these different, Battle Royale games. And now Battle Royale is a full-blown video game genre. I do believe, from experience with Death Stranding, that this is a new type of game. And I don't know, I don't know like the extent of it. Is it going to be as popular as, say, like Battle Royale or something? Probably not. But what I will tell you is this has so many opportunities. I mean, the opportunities and the possibilities with this game are endless, in my opinion. If you can create your own servers with your friends and such, and just build upon these worlds and have, this just reminds me so much like of a Minecraft. Being able to create your own world would be unbelievable in a game like this. So I would love to see if that's something that they plan on doing maybe at some point in the future. Really, where do they plan on going with the multiplayer? Are they going to do DLC? Is there going to be a Death Stranding 2 to continue? We're not going to get into any spoilers in this episode of the 8 Below Show, guys, but I do want to propose those ideas to all of you. Like, hey, what would you think about a second Death Stranding? What would you think about having your own servers, things of that nature? Is this game the most polarizing game ever? I don't know if I'm going to go as far as to say that it's the most polarizing game ever. I will say this, though. It is the most polarizing game I've seen probably in a half a decade. I mean, it's been that polarizing, that, cut down the middle between people who love it, people who hate it. And that's really what it is. I've never seen this out of a AAA game before, since probably Grand Theft Auto 5 maybe, or, really, I mean, it's been a while since really even the GTA games, where it was like super polarizing between those games. I remember it being really big with like Vice City and San Andreas were the ones that, and that was a long time ago. But that being said, I would love to hear from all of you. What do you guys think about Death Stranding? Is this game a walking masterpiece? Because I believe it is. I believe it is a walking masterpiece, and I want to see what they do to continue that. I believe it should be up for Game of the Year. Out of all the games I've played this year, I would have to say that it's got to be up there as one of the best games of the year. It could go down as one of the best games of this console generation, maybe even all time. It's hard to say, but I want to hear from you guys. Is Death Stranding extremely polarizing to you? And do you think it's the most polarizing game ever? Let me know what you guys think about that. Next, what we're going to be talking about, guys, is The Legends of Runeterra, which of course is the card game from Riot Games that they are essentially making to not only have their own card game, but a real rival to Hearthstone. And I have been a little bit cautious and concerned about the game because I believe that the game has been in what you would call a development hell stage, which essentially means that one of the game developers, or I think it was the game developer, or maybe it was one of the studio heads over at Riot Games, said that the game has been through multiple stops and starts, which essentially kind of tells me that they've had problems along the way. Obviously, it's been a game I think that's been in the making for around 8 years or so. Maybe it was a little bit less than that, but they've been working on this game for a long time, and obviously right now they're kind of in like it's almost like a pre-alpha stage. You can pre-register for the game right now, and some people are getting access to it. And so I was able to play for a little while and get kind of a feel for the game. And I gotta say, guys, it's probably the best card game I've ever played. Now, that being said, I've never been really big into the card games. I've never been one that's been really big. I've never been big into Magic. I haven't been big into Hearthstone, amongst, a number of other different card games, right? Of course, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, things of that nature I've played, but not so much like on console or on like PC or something. So Legends of Runeterra, I'm going to propose the question, and I'm going to give you guys kind of my thoughts on it, because it's still very early. It hasn't come out yet, obviously, as far as, not everybody can play the game as of yet. And what I will say is this, is Legends of Runeterra, or could Legends of Runeterra be the best card game ever made? And while I'm saying that, guys, as far as card games are concerned, I'm gonna kind of put a preface on this. Best card game as in like on PC, on Xbox, as far as a game that you can, play on console or something. We're not going to get into like, card games that are, like actual physical card games. We're not going to really talk so much about that. Let's just talk about digitally. So digital card games, Legends of Runeterra, guys, really is a game that I think has the potential to be king of the card games on, from a digital standpoint. I really do. And I'll tell you why. There's a big learning curve to any one of these types of games. Whether you're talking about Magic, Hearthstone, Legends of Runeterra, there is big time learning curves. But I feel like right when I started to play Legends of Runeterra, they are walking me through pretty much everything that I got to do, right? And I know every game normally does that, but it was, for me at least, Legends of Runeterra, it really kind of, it was a really good introduction for me, or even just for other gamers that don't play card games much, kind of a good introduction to it. Like, okay, this is how it works, and they tell you how to do it. Pretty self-explanatory. It gets more complicated, and there's certainly going to be a learning curve in Legends of Runeterra. There is no debate about it. There's going to be significant learning curves. If you want to get really good at the game, there is going to be challenges along the way for you as a player. Especially if you're trying to play on a competitive level, even a casual level, you're going to want to know, how to, you're going to want to get better and such. And with that, it's just going to, those things are going to take time. Just probably, as I've said with pretty much any game, in order to get really good at something, you got to put in hundreds upon hundreds of games or play hundreds of games, even more than that sometimes. That's how I got good at StarCraft, even though I'm not really great. I'm better than I certainly was, by just playing hundreds of games. Whether you're talking just against the AI, which is pretty much what I did on Legends of Runeterra, where just trying to learn and understand how things work within the game, I gotta say that even though this game has been through a development hell, I will say it right now that they've done a damn good job of this game. You would think that there would be tons of issues with it, and I really haven't seen that many issues. Now, some people are within the community or the card gaming community have stated, things along the lines of, it might be a little bit buggy or there's little issues here and there within the game. But overall, it seems pretty positive, and that's amazing. And I think that Riot Games at this point, after getting my hands on it, after trying it out, seeing that obviously this game was in a development hell stage, maybe it was just one of those things, it just wasn't ready all those years ago. And now we're finally we're getting our hands on it, and we're seeing what all that hard work really did for Riot Games. Similar to maybe like, to give you an example, like Avatar 2, which is the next movie that's going to be coming out in the Avatar universe. It hasn't come out in a decade, right? We haven't had a sequel to Avatar in like a long time, right? Well, people are concerned about that because they feel like everyone's going to forget about Avatar and things of that nature. But it as well has gone through somewhat of a development hell where they've thought that they were going to have the game or the movie out, a couple of years ago, but it ended up, just not working out. Like they just had, things come up with filmmaking, with game development, whatever you want to call it, that ends up happening. And we might see Avatar 2 and just be like, wow, it was worth the wait kind of ordeal where it transcends filmmaking like Avatar, the first one, did. That said, Legends of Runeterra is, I will say this, I don't know if it's going to be as successful as, say, like Hearthstone or any of these other card games, but what I am going to say is it's going to have its place in the card gaming universe, and this game very well could be the real competition to Hearthstone as far as from an esports perspective, as well as just from, gameplay perspective. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, to say the least, how this kind of develops and forms in the future. I'm pretty excited about it, and I think I think that this game could very well become the best card game digitally ever made. I really do. I from playing it, and I've played Hearthstone. Really haven't tried Magic much, but like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, other card games, I've certainly played. This one is my favorite, and I'm not gonna say it's like by far, but I really enjoy this game. It's pretty great. I'm excited to see the full version come out. I believe it's gonna be coming out, later in 2020, and that's exciting. I'm gonna be really excited to give it a shot and give it a try for a period of time, even if it's just something just like a chill game to play, on your mobile device, or if you want to play on PC and play on competitively, whatever it might be. I think Legends of Runeterra certainly has a place within the card gaming universe, and I think it could be one of the top card games in that the card gaming world. I would love to hear from all of you, though. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on Legends of Runeterra? Of course, have you had a chance to play it yet in that pre-register phase? Have you been able to play it? And where does it rank amongst your other favorite card games that you've ever played? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. So guys, the streaming wars are officially underway, and there is no debate about it at this point. When we talk about YouTube, Twitch, and Mixer, it's almost like pick your poison. Which one would you like to stream on? Because at this point, they are all becoming more and more relevant as time goes. Where back, not even that long ago, I would say back a year ago, it was specifically Twitch. There were a couple of streamers, obviously, on Mixer. There were a couple of big streamers on YouTube Gaming. But for the most part, Twitch was the king of streaming until all of a sudden, Mixer decides to essentially buy out Ninja, bring Ninja over to Mixer, and then from there, it all just completely changed, and the gaming landscape has changed ever since that move happened. And I thought that once Ninja moved, it would be different if it was like a couple of other, smaller streamers. But when we're talking about big streamers in the community on Twitch deciding to go ahead and move over to Mixer or get bought out, that just shows the power of these of the players, of the creators. It shows that power there, because obviously Twitch had something, they have something special, right? And it was very special to just Twitch. But then all of a sudden, Mixer comes into the entire streaming war, as well as YouTube, and now we're really starting to see personalities being bought out and going on different platforms. So here's what I'm going to say, is after seeing, of course, everything at this point, we've got like Ninja, Shroud over on Mixer. You've got Twitch basically still has the majority of people, and then you've got YouTube Gaming that, of course, now has Courage, and I'm sure a number of other people are going to be, going over to YouTube Gaming here in the near future as well. Then of course, on Twitch, you got Nick A. He came from YouTube, so a lot of it is going to be just back and forth, I feel, and I find that very interesting. But I think that Mixer really made some big time moves. I mean, let's talk about that here. Mixer is aggressively seeking victory in the streaming war. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When you see all of the different personalities, big and small, that they are bringing over to Mixer, they are directly attacking Twitch. And there's just no debate about it. Twitch, obviously, I'm sure they are working overtime to figure out, okay, what do we need to do to make sure that people don't leave the platform? And I think that they're going to put some things in place to make sure that people stay on Twitch, or semi-big or big streamers on Twitch will be under contracts and such moving forward. And, I think this is good, though. And people have always asked me my opinion, what do I think? And for me, guys, I am obviously, all of my content creation is on YouTube. As far as streaming goes, I've tried streaming on Mixer, I've tried streaming on YouTube, and Twitch, I've had the most success there as far as just building a following on Twitch, and it's pretty easy, and I've gotten used to it over the years. And so at this point, I don't plan on moving to any other platform. Now, obviously, if Mixer or YouTube comes to me and says, hey, we want to pay you X amounts of dollars to come to our platform, then of course there's going to be discussions with that. But at this very point, I like the way Twitch is kind of structured. Okay, some of the nitty gritty things around Twitch, whether the higher ups over at Twitch, whatever it might be, things might bother me, but that would be the same thing with YouTube. There's things that bother us about YouTube. There's things that bother us about Mixer, and that's the beauty of us being humans, and we're able to give out our opinions, so on and so forth, right? What I will say, though, is this, guys, is that it's good to have competition. It just is. Like, me being in competition with hundreds of other creators that are creating gaming content, or thousands pretty much at this point, hundreds of thousands, because the gaming community just keeps getting bigger and bigger, is a good thing. It's just a good thing because really the more exposure that the gaming industry is getting, the more oversaturated it gets, but also there's just so many eyeballs that can take in so many different types of content. And for all of you who watch my content, thank you so much, guys. I mean, it really does mean everything to me that you all come and check out the videos. I mean, people always ask me what's the best way that we can support you? And the best way to support me, guys, obviously you can join our community, which of course there's different tiers that you can join our community. But really, guys, the easiest way to do it, and this doesn't just go for me, this goes for really any other content creator out there, the best way to support them if you enjoy watching their content is just by liking the videos and subscribing. Those are the two biggest ways that you can help a YouTuber, a streamer, just a content creator in general, really, support them. Because at any time that you click that thumbs up button on a YouTube video, it kind of helps boost your videos up to the recommended tab for, in the YouTube algorithm and such. And then subscribing obviously, helps build that audience and such. And it's a beautiful thing. And that's how the easiest way that you can support me is just by liking the videos if you enjoy them. Obviously, you don't have to if you don't want to, but just liking the videos and subscribing are the two biggest ways in which that is going to continue to push me into creating more content for all of you guys. And I want to, I obviously want to keep doing that. And that's the best way to do it. So getting back to the streaming wars though, guys, we are talking about an all-out war at this point between Mixer, YouTube, Twitch. And like I said, I mean, I think there's good things about all of them. There's bad things about all of them. But guess what? Like, that's what it is. This is competition at its best. And I've always said that I felt like YouTube, if there was another platform out there, which I think people thought Vimeo was going to be that real competitor to YouTube, I really think YouTube may change things in a way in which, to be more, I don't know, like to listen to more of the creators. And I think YouTube does do. They do listen at times to the community. Obviously, they're a business, and they are in this to obviously continue growing and really giving out good numbers to their shareholders and such. So I understand all of those things, with YouTube. And Twitch is the same thing. I mean, this is a publicly traded company under Amazon, and so you have to understand that there are other entities or, higher ups that have a lot of say in what happens over on YouTube, on Twitch and such. It's up to us to voice our opinions about those things. And, if something comes up that we don't appreciate, we voice our opinion, and then hopefully they change those things in a way in which we want. But in the end, guys, at the end all be all, in my opinion, which streaming platform is going to win in this war? And I don't think that there's a clear favorite at this point. You would obviously say Twitch, but I don't believe that there really is a clear favorite at this point. I would say, in all honesty, I think all three of them, they can, of course, coexist in the same universe. I mean, obviously, they're doing it right now. And I think that there's a place for all three of them as far as streaming is concerned. I believe that Twitch and Mixer need to move into more of this place where they are really trying to support creators on those platforms, like getting people to upload videos, doing everything on those platforms instead of having, creators on YouTube as well as on their platform, getting people away from YouTube to just create content on Twitch or on Mixer. That would be the next step, I think, for Twitch or Mixer, in my opinion, is look, you are... Twitch right now is under the gun as being like other companies are stealing their people or stealing their creators and streamers from them. And maybe Twitch, was a little bit naive, not really naive, but more like carefree. Like they didn't think something like this would probably happen. And now it is. So what do you do now? Well, if I'm Twitch, I would really put emphasis on content creation. You can upload videos onto Twitch, and I've been doing that now for a while, but there's really no way in which that we can be, I don't know, they need to really push that onto their main pages and such. Like, they need to make it more emphasis on content creation, not so much just on streaming. Streaming's great, but I think people would also love to watch actual content from their favorite streamers, and they have to go to a different platform to do that, which is YouTube, usually. So that being said, I think competition is a great thing, but I think Twitch and Mixer, they need to do things a little bit better, and YouTube is directly trying to compete right now in all of it. And if you really think about who's winning this entire like war, it's got to be YouTube, because YouTube's obviously the biggest platform there is when we talk about content creation and streaming. Now that they're getting into that, they're getting guys like Courage, who knows who might be coming up next. Those numbers are going to get bigger now for YouTube over time. And I think that Twitch now is taking significant hits right now, and they need to kind of move in a direction like they need to make a response. And I'm sure that they will here in the near future. But who do you guys think is going to win the streaming war? It's a big conversation, guys. I'd love to hear from all of you about it. So our next topic of the day, guys, is about GTA 6, which is Grand Theft Auto 6, obviously, and everything we know so far about the game. So let's talk about it. So guys, obviously there's been a ton of speculation, tons of leaks or supposed leaks that have come out about Grand Theft Auto 6, about the possible release date, so on and so forth. So what we're going to talk about here, since there's not a ton of information that has really come out regarding the game as far as what the game could really all encompass, because Rockstar is so secretive about their projects, there is some very interesting things that have been teased and leaked that very well could lead us to, obviously, more speculation because it hasn't been fully confirmed by Rockstar, but this is going to give us everything that we know so far about the possibilities of what GTA 6 could be bringing us here in the near future. So here's where we're going to start, guys. Dom Pepiat from the Daily Star wrote an article. It's called GTA 6 Release Date Update. Summer 2020 teased for the next Grand Theft Auto game. So Rockstar's next Grand Theft Auto game may see the light of day sooner than we thought if a strange new tease is anything to believe. In one of the weirdest twists in GTA 6 rumor history, we may have seen a leak from a hugely unexpected source. City Morgue, a music group consisting of Junius Rogers, Vincius Sosa, and producer Sami Nahari, might have leaked a potential release date for the next GTA game from Rockstar. To catch you up if you're uncertain who these guys are or why they matter as far as GTA goes, Zilla Kami has ghost-written for controversial rapper 6ix9ine and was caught up in the drama revolving around his incarceration. Zilla Kami's half-brother, who goes by Righteous P, posted a snapshot of Rockstar Times City Morgue on his Instagram story, seemingly teasing some sort of project with the developer of the GTA franchise. Underneath the assertion that the two were working together, the words Summer 2020. A fan letter followed up on this tease, sending Righteous P a direct message asking if the information in the image was accurate. As per the Digital Weekly, it was. Righteous P apparently reconfirmed the claims and just said soon, further hinting that City Morgue would have some sort of connection with the game, maybe as part of the official OST. As far as we're concerned, Summer 2020 feels early. Most people are expecting the newest Grand Theft Auto game to arrive on the next generation of consoles, PS5 and Xbox Scarlet. It could be that summer 2020 won't be the release date of the next Grand Theft Auto title, but rather when Rockstar would drop a reveal trailer, perhaps going on this new rumor, featuring a track from City Morgue. It's all very uncertain at this moment. Voice actors talk about the potential of new content, and then we have no evidence this is legit. And knowing how strict Rockstar is with its projects ahead of their formal reveal, we imagine that if any of this information is correct, it shouldn't have been said. Take all this with a handful of salt then. So basically, guys, 2020, summer of 2020, it sounds like we're either going to get a potential reveal for Grand Theft Auto 6, or we're at least going to be, actually getting the full game, which I doubt we're getting the full game summer 2020. I would say probably like summer 2021 maybe, but we're probably going to be getting like a reveal. Something along those lines is probably what we're going to be getting. It's not necessarily like the actual release date of the game. It'd probably be the release date of the trailer, and then a year or so after that is probably when we would really be getting our hands on the game. I would say probably 2021, maybe even 2022. It's really hard to say. But because the big thing is here is that this game has obviously been, maybe they're working on it, but I thought that they were working on Bully 2, maybe a Max Payne 4, LA Noire 2 possibly. I know GTA 6 has been something that's been talked about for a long time. Maybe they are doing a GTA 6, but they're still making so much money off of GTA 5. I don't know. That being said, though, GTA 6 obviously isn't going to hurt. I mean, they're going to make a ton of money off it regardless. So maybe we're going to see a sneak peek of it summer 2020, and then at some point in the future after that is when we would actually get our hands on it, like summer 2021, summer 2022, somewhere along those lines. But Rockstar has been so secretive about this. This is essentially everything that we know, really, about the game. We know that, things along the lines of, where they're going to be having this game or where it's going to be taking place. Is it going to be a continuation of GTA 5? Is it going to be a separate story altogether? Those are all things that it seems like it's probably its own thing. It's probably not going to continue the story from GTA 5. It'd be cool if they did, but I don't think they're going to do that. They kind of seem to kind of do one story at a time. They just tell a story, and like one GTA, like GTA 4 to GTA 5 were two completely different stories. So I just think that that's probably the direction they're going. Nothing's been confirmed, though. They've been so secretive about it. That's all that we really know about the game right now. I'm sure we're going to be getting more information about it, and I'll be sure to let all of you guys and girls know out there when that information drops. So Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has released, and there's been a lot of talk about it, lots of positive feedback, a lot of different things that people have been talking about it from Respawn Entertainment, of course, the makers of Apex Legends, and I had huge hopes for this game simply because obviously Vince Zampella, who was one of the creators of Modern Warfare 2 or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, was one of the, obviously lead guys for Titanfall, and then of course into Apex Legends, and now into Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So there's a lot of expectations, a lot of hopes, and all of that revolving around this game. And the big question now is Star Wars back now, guys, as a game, as a video game, right? As a video game series. Is this game back? We could talk about the movies all day, but we're going to talk about the games in particular, because obviously with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, it's very interesting to me. After watching other people play, after playing the game myself, I got to say, Star Wars is back. It's back as a gaming series. It's 100% back. I mean, while I was playing this, I got, really immersed into the characters. I was getting immersed into the different places that you're playing in, like the different planets, the environments. All of that was just, it felt so great, and it really felt a lot like Uncharted. It felt somewhat like Uncharted, the maneuverability and such. But man, it was a really great experience. I haven't finished the game yet, but it's a great experience, at least at this point for me. Now, we're going to have to see how the game ends, so kind of we'll have to pump the brakes on saying it's like the best Star Wars ever made or anything like that. But from what other people are saying about this game, they're saying this game is one of the best Star Wars games ever made. And I got to say, guys, Knights of the Old Republic, that'll probably always be, my favorite as far as the Star Wars games go. What was the other one called? Like The Force Unleashed. I really liked that one. I know a lot of people didn't like that one. I liked that one. I thought it was pretty cool. But Battlefront, I wasn't, the biggest fan of Battlefront. And Battlefront 2, certainly not a fan of that one. I thought that they just absolutely screwed that up completely. But I think Respawn Entertainment, them along with EA, have put together a great Star Wars game. And it's like, finally, a good Star Wars game, and not even just good, a great Star Wars game is here. Now, I'll be interested to see, the multiplayer and all of those things. It seems like people are enjoying those things. I'm really talking about mainly the story which is to me like the most important thing. Obviously, the multiplayer is what brings people back to the game, so that's important as well. And everything I've heard of, when it revolving around, those things, as far as the story is concerned, very positive. Okay, and that's what I think as well. But is Star Wars 100% back? I really do think so with this game. I think that this is a great leap forward, okay? To me, I'll compare it to Call of Duty, guys. Look, we had the dark ages of Call of Duty. Went from Advanced Warfare to Black Ops 3 to Infinite Warfare. And then finally, we got World War II, which was kind of a step in the right direction. Then you had Black Ops 4, which was another step in the right direction. And then finally, Modern Warfare, which was a leap in the right direction. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a leap in the right direction from that of Battlefront 2. And there's no debate about it. I mean, really, when you think about it, this game is everything that I want in a Star Wars game. I mean, it's everything. I mean, I thought it had great, high moments. It had those low moments. It was I thought it was just really good overall. I mean, it's a very good game. And like I said, I haven't completely finished it yet, so I'll be interested to see how the end is, because that'll, of course, really, that'll kind of sway me one way or another as to the experience, even though it's not going to be the totality. Of course, the ending, you got to have a good beginning, middle, end, which makes up a great game, right? And at this point, I think it's a great installment in the franchise. I hope they build off of this in the future and they continue making great Star Wars games. I mean, let Respawn Entertainment do it, please. Let them do it. They did a phenomenal job, and I want to see that them come back again and do another one. Maybe in another few years would be incredible, but I'm glad that this project got greenlit. I'm glad that Respawn Entertainment were the ones who ended up, developing this game. And EA, you could you can't really see EA's fingerprints all over this like you could with Battlefront 2. I mean, maybe slightly, but not really. I mean, I think this is a completely different from that of Battlefront 2, even though obviously it's all Star Wars. But I just think that now Star Wars is back as a gaming series. It's one step forward, kind of like World War II was, even though I think it's a leap forward at this point for Star Wars. And then maybe the next Star Wars game is another step forward, and you just keep on going from here. And over time, it's going to build, and it's going to build in a major, major way. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about being able to see more Star Wars, experiencing that for myself. I mean, it's one thing to watch the movies, right? And the movies, can be fun for all the Star Wars nerds and all of us out there that love Star Wars. It's great to see, the movies. But it's fun to play some of those characters or just play even different characters within that universe because it's so grand and big. And that's why I think Disney bought out Lucasfilm, because it's like, look, you're only going to make 6 movies. You're not going to make more than that? What? Like, there's a universe here. I mean, we can make, tons more movies, 10, 12, 20 more movies, whatever it might be, and they realize that. Disney sees that. They say, look, we can not only milk this franchise, but we can make some pretty good movies out of this, and just different planets experiencing so many different things, different galaxies and such. The same thing can be said with the video games. I want to see more and more of like stories kind of like this, like these original kind of stories. That's what's cool to me about it. Because a lot of these characters, some of these characters you've never even seen before in Star Wars, like a movie or anything. Maybe you've seen them if you've read the books or something. Guys, Star Wars is back. Let me know if you guys agree with me on that statement, that it's a leap forward for the Star Wars gaming franchise. Next, guys, I want to talk about, will there be a Death Stranding 2, as in a sequel to Death Stranding, the highly polarizing and very divisive game that is Death Stranding? Will there be a sequel to this? Because, guys, I'm one of the people who absolutely loves Death Stranding. I think it's an absolutely incredible game, even though, sure, there's times where it's kind of a little bit slow and boring and whatever the case might be. It is a walking masterpiece, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people out there have given their thoughts on the game and what they think, but those are just my thoughts on the game. I feel that it's a very well put together game, and it's kind of just a walking masterpiece. It's one of those games in which I believe Hideo Kojima did an absolutely incredible job and carefully, meticulously constructed this game in a way in which is a game we're going to be talking about for years to come. But that being said, this article was written by Austin Wood from Games Radar, and it was written, guys, on September 16th, so obviously before the game officially released, but I thought it was a really cool article because we get some back history here. Obviously, Hideo Kojima, some of the comments he makes, he obviously doesn't know how well the game's going to do or the reception of it, and as far as the numbers are concerned, all that, would a sequel ever get greenlit? That is going to be a conversation for another day. But that being said, will we see and will there be a Death Stranding 2? So a Death Stranding sequel could happen according to Hideo Kojima. I think it's better that I keep it going in a sequel, Kojima says. Now, guys, by the way, we're not going to be getting into any spoilers as far as that's concerned about the game. I don't want to get into any of those spoilers. That's going to be, I probably will be doing a spoiler kind of review sort of ordeal in a later podcast after the game's been out a little bit longer, gives people some more time to play the game, simply because it's about 50, 60 hour game. So a lot of people need some time to play it. It's only been out, not even a month really. I mean, so obviously we just have to, we got to kind of be mindful of that, I guess you could say. So, Death Stranding, a game that we finally know considerably more than nothing about, is part of what creator Hideo Kojima calls the Strand game genre, which seems to be some sort of networking meets delivery simulator with a supernatural backdrop. Kojima tells GameSpot that in order to really solidify this budding new genre of his, he's already toying with the idea of a Death Stranding sequel, though he's not entirely sure what it would be or indeed if it's really plausible. I'm not really sure, Kojima says, referring to the odds of Death Stranding becoming a series. The most difficult part is when you create something new, you have to create a sequel and then a third version, or it will not remain as a genre. When this game comes out, there will be a lot of pros and cons, and these elements could become the essence of the core part, but I think it's better that I keep it going in a sequel. So obviously, guys, when you see that, he's saying that when the game comes out, there's going to be pros and cons, and that's, I mean, he already knew that it was going to happen. I mean, obviously there's pros and cons to any game, but he knew from the very beginning that there's going to be people who don't like this game. There's going to be people who love this game. There's going to be some people in the middle who kind of just go casually at the game. And he knew that from the beginning, which is really great. And I'm glad that he knew that. Yeah, probably at least 1.5 and then 2. At least so that it remains and people are aware of the genre. There are a lot of other projects that come up like TV dramas and things like that. A lot of pitches come my way. Why I can't say it's definite is because I only have one body and there are many projects that I have to be involved with, and it's really tough for me physically to do many things at once. Coming from the man behind Metal Gear Solid, a series which spawned such confusing sequels and spin-offs as Metal Gear Solid 2, Solid Snake, also Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, not to mention Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, Peace Walker, and Ground Zeroes. This talk of doubling down through sequels does carry some weight. That said, Death Stranding isn't out yet, and it's already confusing. Okay, and obviously it is out at this point. But anyways, here's what I'll say. Death Stranding 2 needs to be greenlit right now. Make it right now. Like, let's go. Let's start it. I mean, at least at the very least, and I said this earlier on in the show, guys, that Death Stranding right now, they have to have like a post-launch kind of mentality. I'm sure they've got, plans for, next 6 months, next year, what Death Stranding is going to look like. Are they going to have individual servers, like you can create your own server, kind of like Minecraft? Are you going to be able, like, what's the multiplayer really going to look like? Things of that nature. But a Death Stranding 2, like I said, not getting into spoilers, I would love to see a continuation of this. I just would. And maybe they can change things. Maybe there's not quite as much walking. Maybe, it's a little bit more condensed. Who knows? Maybe it's on another planet or it's on our same planet. I mean, just continuations. Those are things that I would love to see. I think that this world that Hideo Kojima has created has unlimited possibilities. I mean, really, if you think about it, I mean, I'm not going to say that it might be as big of a universe as, say, like Star Wars or, StarCraft or something like that, but this could really be something. I think that they could make a series out of Death Stranding, and there's no doubt about it. This is going to be a game, or if they don't do a sequel, they at least do like DLC or something along those lines where they have new expansions that come out. You learn more about the story, more about the lore. They have additions to the multiplayers, things along those lines. I think also could make it a very interesting and captivating series to take in. And I would love to see that. I really would. I would love to see a Death Stranding 2. I believe we are going to see it somewhere down the road. It might be another, 10 years or so. Who knows? But I think that you give Hideo Kojima some time, you give him those resources that he needs, he will come up with an incredible story to continue onwards with this great game and genre and the potential of a continuation of it. I would love to see it. I would love to hear from you guys. What would you guys like to see? Would you guys want to see a sequel to this? Like less walking, more of the same, more multiplayer elements? What is it that you guys would want to see if they made a sequel to this? Or would you rather they just focus on Death Stranding, they continue like by doing DLC, patch updates, things of that nature, and then kind of go from there and see where it kind of goes? I know talking about Death Stranding 2 is so premature because it's not going to come out for so long. But I think that it's important that we at least talk about these things right now because this is a game that I really do think and feel that could really be a series that could be one of the best series ever created. I mean, when we think of iconic series, I mean, Metal Gear Solid's up there, right? I mean, it's one of those really iconic games and iconic series that we think about when we talk about gaming in general. I mean, you think about Halo, you think about Call of Duty, you think about Metal Gear, you think about a lot of these different games that have just absolutely kind of transcended gaming. And I think Death Stranding is one of those games that could really transcend gaming and take us into the next generation of consoles and the next generation of gaming as a whole. I mean, I would love to see them continue onwards with a sequel. And I'll talk more about that in a later podcast, guys, about, why I would like to see that with like spoilers and such. Definitely a conversation for another day. I hope you guys did, though, enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.